The ISS Audacity had no right to be in service, let alone fly into the heart of the most powerful empire the galaxy had ever known. Its hull was a patchwork of steel plates scrounged from ship graveyards. Half its weapon ports were sealed with welded scrap. Its engines wheezed like asthmatic lungs whenever they pushed past sublight cruising. To the Imperial Navy, it was an antique curiosity. To Captain Elias Reyes, it was home. He stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the cracked forward display. Beyond the glass, stars stretched in cold silence. His crew worked around him, the four souls mad enough, or desperate enough, to follow him into this mission. Dr. Lien Zhou sat cross-legged on the floor, beside a weapons console that refused to stay calibrated. Her dark hair was tied up haphazardly, and her jumpsuit bore stains of every coolant, lubricant, and conductive paste known to humankind. She muttered under her breath as she jury-rigged wires into what looked more like an improvised sculpture than a targeting system. "Captain," she said dryly, "just so we're clear, when this cannon fires, there's a 40% chance it cooks the barrel and kills us instantly. That's the good scenario. The bad scenario involves chain reactions and a lot more screaming." Reyes didn't turn. "You'll make it work, Doctor." "You always do." Zhou snorted. "You mistake desperation for competence." At the communication station, Ava Moreno hummed softly as she tuned into a dozen alien frequencies. Her voice was lilting, her movements graceful, as if she were conducting music rather than intercepting encrypted signals. She was younger than the others, her optimism unscarred by too many campaigns. Where Zhou saw inevitability, Ava saw possibilities. "Did you know Imperial officers use a formal greeting tone that's mathematically derived?" Ava asked, glancing over her shoulder. "It's like a signature chord unique to their rank, beautiful in its way. Rigid, yes, but elegant." Mace O'Connor leaned back in the pilot's chair, boots on the console, tossing a ration bar wrapper in the air like it was a juggling ball. His grin was reckless, his eyes alight with the kind of madness only test pilots and gamblers carried. "Elegant? Ava, sweetheart, it's a glorified doorbell. You know what's more elegant? This." He jammed the flight stick forward and the ship lurched, groaning as the inertial dampeners caught up. Zhou cursed, clinging to her tools. Ava nearly bit her tongue. "Mace!" Reyes barked. The pilot just laughed, spinning his chair in a full circle. "Testing reflexes, Captain. You don't want me rusty when we're dodging plasma fire, do you?" Reyes sighed through his nose. "If you pull another stunt like that, O'Connor, I'll personally strap you to Hull and let the Empire use you for target practice." "Fair," May said cheerfully. The absurdity of them all. The engineer who trusted duct tape more than physics. The dreamer who thought alien symphonies mattered in war. The pilot who mistook recklessness for courage. Reyes felt it keenly. Yet he trusted them, more than he trusted the plan. The plan. He turned to the central holotank, where the enemy target glowed. The Imperial Core Relay. A sprawling fortress of steel and graviton arrays. It pulsed with power. That station was the Empire's brainstem, coordinating every fleet across the spiral arm. Without it, admirals would be blind, governors would be deaf, and local factions would revolt. Destroying it would be the death knell of the Galactic Empire. The holotank shifted, showing the relay's perimeter fleets. Dozens of warships, each larger than the Audacity by orders of magnitude. They gleamed with unscarred alloys and flawless symmetry, every one a monument to Imperial precision. Against them, the Audacity looked like a child's toy with missing parts. "Looks cozy," May said, chewing the last of his ration bar. "Looks suicidal," Joe corrected. Ava tilted her head. "Looks necessary." Reyes finally spoke, voice steady low. "The Resistance has no other ships left. If we don't do this tonight, there won't be another chance. The Empire believes humanity is broken. They think we're relics. They've never been more wrong." Silence fell on the bridge. The crew absorbed the weight of it. Then Mace broke it with a grin. "Well, Captain, if we're going to die, we might as well die spectacularly. Joe, try not to blow us up until we're at least in range of their guns." "Eh?" "Noted," she muttered. Ava looked around at them all, a small smile curving her lips. History won't remember the relay. It'll remember us. For humans who dare to punch an empire in the teeth. Reyes allowed himself a faint smile. 5, he corrected. The audacity counts. The ship groaned as if in agreement, lights flickering for just a moment before stabilizing. Reyes stepped forward, hands braced on the railing of the bridge. Listen carefully. Once we jump, there's no turning back. Our objective is clear. Reach the relay, cripple its core, and broadcast a signal to the resistance. We succeed, the Empire fractures. We fail, then at least we'll make one hell of firework, May said. Joe muttered, I hate agreeing with him. Reyes straightened. Stations. Prepare for jump. The crew moved. Joe strapped herself into her console, fingers flying across jury-rigged circuits. Ava adjusted her headset, a faint hum on her lips as if she were preparing for a concert. Mace twirled the controls like a conductor's baton, face alight with mischief. Reyes keyed the ship's core himself. The engine roared, the hull shuddered, and the void twisted around them. For one heartbeat, the audacity seemed to hold its breath. Then the stars snapped into place, and there it was. The relay, vast and terrible, surrounded by fleets that blotted out the starlight. Mace whistled low. Well, they sure brought a lot of friends. Remind me, Joe said flatly, why we didn't wait for reinforcements. Because, Ava whispered, awestruck by the sight, we are the reinforcements. Reyes' voice was calm, iron beneath it. Set course. All power to forward shields. Tonight, we show the galaxy what humans do when we're told to kneel. The audacity surged forward, alone, battered warship charging straight into maw of an empire. The ISS Audacity charged toward the core relay like a rusted spear hurled at a mountain. Every sensor on the relay lit up with alerts. Imperial officers on gleaming flagships studied their screens, blinked at the readings, and dismissed them. One derelict human ship, one admiral scoffed. Not even worth a squadron's attention. Their mistake. On the Audacity's bridge, Captain Reyes watched the tactical display blossom with enemy signatures. Whole flotillas wheeled into formation, weapons arrays humming. Against that backdrop, his ship looked like a drifting ember. They've noticed us, Ava reported, her voice calm but eyes bright. She wore her headset like a crown, fingers dancing across controls. They're debating whether we're bait, a decoy, or just insane. Insane seems fair, Joe muttered, strapping down another loose panel with her belt. Sparks popped from her console. She didn't flinch. Mace whistled as he traced a path through the enemy formation. Good news, Captain. I've mapped a corridor straight to the relay's throat. Bad news. It requires us to fly like a drunken comet and pray nobody's a good shot. Reyes kept his tone level. Do it. The audacity, Dove. Enemy ships fired. Sleek beams of coherent plasma, each strike capable of carving through city blocks. Mace threw the audacity into rolls, flips, sudden lurches that made the deck groan, and Joe cursed in multiple languages. Shields flared, dimmed, then flared again as it skated off their edges. This ship wasn't built for ballet. Joe shouted. It wasn't built to live either, Mace replied, teeth bared. Yet here we are. Ava cut in, her voice sharp. I'm jamming their targeting sensors, improvising with, old Earth frequencies. She paused, grin tugging at her lips. Specifically pop music. Joe blinked. You're blinding an empire with boy bands? Not blinding, Ava said. Confusing. Their algorithms can't parse the chaos. Over the comms, a clipped alien voice barked commands, distorted by Ava's jamming. The stern orders melted into something bizarre. A synthetic beat, distorted harmonics, almost danceable. Mace barked a laugh even as he dodged another volley. Beautiful, he said. If we die, at least it'll be to the galaxy's first interstellar remix. Reyes almost smiled. Almost. Focus. Joe slammed her palm on her console. Weapons hot. And by hot, I mean literally overheating. Ready to fire. Do it. The jury-rigged cannon barked. A pulse of mismatched energy streaked across the void, slamming into an Imperial corvette. Its shields flared, stuttered, then failed spectacularly, cascading into internal overloads. The Corvette vanished in a blossom of white fire. The bridge went quiet for a heartbeat. Then Joe exhaled, almost giddy. It worked. Of course it worked, Mace crowed, juking between two frigates that nearly clipped him. Humans build weapons like we build roller coasters. Unsafe, unpredictable, and guaranteed to scare the hell out of you. More enemy ships closed in, furious now. Their beams lanced through the void, grazing the Audacity's hull. Metal screamed. Bulkheads buckled. The ship trembled, like it wanted to fall apart. Ava's voice cut in, sharp. Shields at 30%. They'll collapse if we take another direct salvo. Joe was already scrambling. I can shunt power from life support. Mace laughed, wild. Breathing's overrated. No, Reyes said firmly. His voice anchored them, steady against the storm. Find another way. Joe bit her lip, then rerouted to the ship's gutted auxiliary reactor. Lights flickered, gravity swayed, but the shield surged just enough to hold. The relay loomed larger now, a city-sized fortress bristling with weapon arrays. Docking arms stretched like claws. Even crippled, its defenses were overwhelming. Almost there, Ava breathed. Reyes scanned the tactical screen. Too many ships. Too much firepower. The Audacity couldn't survive a frontal assault. Change of plan, he said. The crew looked at him. He rarely changed plans. We're punching a hole, Reyes continued. We'll dive straight into the relay's perimeter and ride the chaos. Mace's grin widened. Now you're speaking my language. Joe threw her hands in the air. Your language is death. Ava, softly, almost reverently. No, it's survival, just in a form the Empire doesn't recognize. The Audacity accelerated. Shields screamed under the pressure of enemy fire. Joe rerouted everything that wasn't vital. Ava layered jamming signals until Imperial comms turned into a cacophony of broken orders and accidental choruses. And Mace flew like the ship was alive, twisting into corkscrews, sudden feints, brutal turns that Imperial AI couldn't predict. On enemy bridges, admirals barked contradictory orders. Their algorithms demanded precision, discipline. They couldn't comprehend chaos as a tactic. One frigate collided with another, shields misaligned. A destroyer mistook its ally for the target, vaporizing its own support craft. The Empire's flawless symmetry fractured. The Audacity plunged through the gap, battered but alive. The relay loomed before them now, its central tower pulsing with energy. Massive cannons aligned, preparing a single shot that would annihilate the Audacity. Joe stared at her screens, heart hammering. If they fire, we're gone. Reyes spoke evenly. Then we don't give them the chance. Ava's hands blurred, her voice sharp, jamming their firing sequence. Give me 10 seconds. Mace's knuckles whitened on the controls. You've got 5. The relay's guns charged, light building like a star being born. Ava screamed, now! Joe fired. The cannon howled. Energy ripped across the void and slammed into the relay's outer defenses. The shields held, but they flickered. The relay's shot collapsed mid-charge, detonating in its own firing chamber. The fortress shuddered, weapons sputtering offline. The crew erupted in disbelief. We did it! Ava gasped, laughter bubbling in her throat. Correction, Joe said, eyes wide. We pissed it off. The relay's remaining defenses roared to life, every turret swiveling toward them. The display lit with hundreds of targeting locks. The Audacity had cracked the shell, but the core remained untouched. And now the Empire understood the threat. Rhea's voice cut through the din. Hold together. This is just the beginning. The Audacity trembled under the storm, but it did not falter. The Audacity was burning. Sparks cascaded from torn conduits. Smoke filled the bridge, and the hull vibrated like a struck bell. Yet the ship still clawed forward, battered but defiant. Captain Reyes gripped the railing, gaze fixed on the relay that dominated the viewport. The fortress loomed like a continent suspended in space, its vast ring spinning with clockwork precision. Even crippled, it radiated inevitability. We can't survive another barrage, Joe said, coughing as she fought her console. One more volley and we're atoms. Then we don't take another volley, Reyes replied, calm as stone. Mace's grin was manic. I knew you'd say that. Captain, permission to ram something? Ava shot him a look. We're not ramming. Not yet. Reyes turned toward her. Suggestions? Ava hesitated, then leaned over her comms panel. The relay's docking protocols are rigid. If we mimic a damaged Imperial freighter, they'll drag us into a bay before realizing what we are. Zhou blinked. You can fake Imperial codes? I can fake the tone, Ava said, fingers flying. Not perfect, but their systems aren't trained to expect lies. Mace hooped. We're going to valet park inside the biggest death machine in the galaxy. I love this job. Reyes gave a single nod. Do it. Ava transmitted the signal. For a breathless moment, nothing happened. Then the relay's turrets rotated away, their aim shifting to larger threats in the chaos outside. A docking arm extended, latching onto the Audacity's scarred hull. The ship lurched as it was reeled in like a fish on a line. They bought it, Zhou whispered, disbelief heavy in her tone. Of course they did, Ava said softly. The Empire doesn't understand deception. Not really. The bay doors yawned open, swallowing them whole. Inside the relay, order reigned. The docking bay gleamed with polished alloys and precise geometry. Imperial crews marched in lockstep, their movements synchronized. None expected the enemy to come crashing through the front door. The Audacity hit the deck hard, skidding across the bay in a shower of sparks. Mace howled with laughter at the controls. See? Perfect landing. Zhou groaned, clutching her head. Perfect concussion, more like... Reyes unstrapped, voice crisp. Teams. Zhou, stay with the ship and keep systems alive. Ava, you're with me. We need those codes to reach the core. Mace! I know, the pilot said, already grabbing a sidearm. Steal something shiny and make a scene. My specialty. Reyes' lips twitched. Just don't get killed. No promises. The crew split. Zhou stayed on the bridge, wrestling with the Audacity's crippled systems. Her hands shook from exhaustion, but her mind raced. The ship was more than metal to her. It was proof that broken things could still matter. Every flickering light, every groaning panel was a challenge. She whispered to it, coaxing life where there should be none. Come on, old girl, she murmured. Hold together a little longer. Reyes and Ava slipped through sterile corridors, blasters ready. The relay was enormous, but its symmetry betrayed it. Every hall mirrored the last, every junction identical. Efficiency over imagination. Ava whispered, they built this place to be perfect. That's why it'll fall. Reyes glanced at her. Optimism is useful. Don't let it blind you. It's not optimism, Ava said. It's math. Perfection breaks the moment it faces chaos. They reached the security terminal. 2 Imperial officers manned it, their backs rigid. Reyes signaled, then moved fast. 2 quiet shots, 2 bodies down. Ava didn't flinch. She was learning. She knelt at the terminal, patching her portable rig into its ports. Glyphs scrolled across her screen, her brow furrowed. Core access is locked behind 6 tiers of clearance. I can spoof 4. Forgets us in, Reyes said. Forgets us shot, she corrected. Unless I improvise. Reyes raised a brow. Can you? She smiled faintly. I'm human, aren't I? Meanwhile, Mace was chaos incarnate. He stormed to the docking level, firing wildly at alarms, overturning supply crates, shouting obscenities in 3 languages. Imperial troops scrambled, confused. Their training dictated orderly countermeasures, but Mace gave them no rhythm to follow. One soldier shouted, Identify yourself. Mace grinned, ducking behind cover. Name's O'Connor. Profession, nuisance. He lobbed a stolen plasma charge into their formation, sending them scattering. He laughed so hard he nearly dropped his blaster. Oh, this is fun. Back at the terminal, Ava broke through the last firewall. The schematics of the relay blossomed on her screen, its core pulsing like a heart. There, she breathed. The power chamber. If we overload it, the entire station collapses. Coordinates, Reyes ordered. She transmitted them. But, Captain, there's a problem. Their fail-safes will trigger. If we destroy the core from here, the relay will eject its databanks. The Empire keeps its records intact. They'll rebuild. Reyes' jaw tightened. Options. Ava hesitated. Manual detonation. Inside the core chamber. Reyes nodded once. Then that's what we do. They moved quickly, evading patrols as Ava manipulated door locks with falsified codes. Each step closer. The hum of energy grew louder, deeper, until it thrummed through their bones. At last, they entered the chamber. The core stretched above them, a tower of light and graviton coils, beautiful and terrible. It pulsed like a star held captive. Reyes set the charges. Ava watched, quiet, almost reverent. "This could free the galaxy," she whispered. "This will—" Reyes corrected. Then the alarm screamed. Imperial guards stormed in, weapons raised. The chamber filled with blinding light, and the bark of orders. Ava froze, fingers hovering over her console. Reyes lifted his rifle. They were outnumbered, cornered, exposed. Then the ceiling erupted. A captured Imperial gunship crashed through, blasting fire across the chamber. At the helm, wild-eyed and cackling, was Mace O'Connor. "Need a lift?" he shouted. The guards scattered in panic. Reyes and Ava sprinted, vaulting into the gunship as Mace pulled it into a wild arc energy bolt, scorched the walls. Behind them, the charges ticked down. On the Audacity, Jo watched her screens as seismic waves rippled through the relay. She slammed the comms open. "Captain?" Reyes' voice came, calm as ever. "Mission complete. Prepare for hell." The relay's core detonated. Light consumed the station, shredding its perfect geometry into fire and debris. The shock wave hurled the Audacity across the bay, tearing more panels free. But somehow, the ship held. Jo gripped her console, knuckles white. "You stubborn old thing. You actually did it." On the gunship, Mace whooped. Ava laughed breathlessly, and Reyes allowed himself one rare smile. The relay burned behind them, the Empire's perfect order unraveling in flame. The relay was gone. What had been the Empire's unshakable center now burned as a scattering of molten fragments across the void. Fleets that had once moved with perfect unity suddenly faltered. Each ship cut adrift from the mind that guided them. But the Audacity was dying too. Jo staggered across the bridge, coughing through smoke as alarms wailed. Half her screens were dead, the other half blinking with errors that looked more like insults than diagnostics. She yanked open a panel, wincing at the heat. "Engines are fried. Shields are gone. Life support's on borrowed time," she muttered. Then more softly, "But you're still breathing, old girl. Don't quit on me now." The bridge doors burst open, and Reyes stepped through, stood on his face, Ava close behind with a data pad clutched to her chest. Mace swaggered in last, grinning despite a scorch mark across his sleeve. "We did it." Ava breathed, wide-eyed. "The relay's gone. Whole sectors are already blind." "Correction," Jo snapped, pointing to the cracked viewport. "We did it, but we're surrounded. Those fleets may be confused, but they're still armed. And we're a sitting target." On the display, Imperial destroyers wheeled uncertainly. Without the relay, their admirals barked conflicting orders. Some ships held position. Others fired on anything that moved, including allies. The battlefield was chaos, but chaos wasn't safety. Reyes studied it all with his unflinching calm. "We need an exit." "Options?" "None," Jo said bluntly. "Plenty," Mace countered, already sliding into the pilot's chair. "They're confused. All we have to do is confuse them more." Reyes arched an eyebrow. "Explain." Mace's grin widened. "We're going to convince one of those destroyers we're their escort, then let them escort us out." Jo pinched the bridge of her nose. "That's not a plan. That's a nervous breakdown. It's better than dying here." Reyes turned to Ava. "Can you fake the signal?" She hesitated only a moment, then nodded. "I can. Their recognition protocols are rigid. They'll believe whatever code sings in the right key." "Do it," Reyes ordered. Minutes later, the Audacity limped to the battlefield, trailing smoke and sparks. Ava's falsified signal pulsed from their comms array, a fabricated badge of Imperial authority. "Destroyer vigilant," she transmitted, her voice steady despite the absurdity. "This is Shuttle 12, carrying priority personnel. Escort immediately." The comms crackled with alien speech. The translation unit hesitated, then produced, "Acknowledged, maintain course. Escort assigned." The crew stared at one another in disbelief. "They actually bought it," Joe whispered. "Of course they did," May said, feigning insult. "I'm very escort-worthy." Reyes ignored them, watching as the colossal destroyer swung into position beside them, its guns angled outward. To the rest of the fleet, the battered Audacity now looked like a protected Imperial asset. They drifted together through the chaos. Imperial ships still fired blindly, but none targeted the destroyer. The path opened like a miracle. It couldn't last. A second destroyer intercepted, demanding verification. Ava's fingers flew across her console, weaving new layers of deception. Her face was pale, sweat trickling down her temple. "They're cross-checking codes," she warned. "I can't hold both forever." "Then don't," Rhea said. "Hold just long enough." Joe muttered, famous last words. Ava transmitted a final burst, a cascade of garbled signals designed to mimic damage. The second destroyer hesitated, scanning. Mace seized a moment, wrenching the Audacity into a sharp dive. The escorting destroyer, still convinced they were precious cargo, moved to cover them. Its massive frame intercepted enemy fire, blocking pursuit. In the chaos, the Audacity broke free of the battlefield. Beyond the battle zone, space opened into silence. The relay was gone, the fleet scattered, and the Audacity limped on, every system groaning but alive. The crew sat in the flickering light of the bridge, stunned into quiet. "We actually did it," Ava whispered. "We broke the Empire." Joe leaned back against her chair, wiping grease across her cheek. "I'll believe it when I see it collapse. For now, I just want a nap." Mace kicked his boots up, grinning through exhaustion. "Nap, hell. I want a drink. Preferably something illegal. Preferably on a beach. With company." Reyes didn't answer immediately. He stood at the viewport, watching the debris field glitter like dying stars. His voice, when it came, was steady, heavy with certainty. The Empire thought itself eternal. Tonight, for humans in a ship held together with duct tape, proved otherwise. That story will spread faster than any fleet. Ava smiled faintly. "Will be a myth." "No," Reyes said. "Will be a beginning." Across the galaxy, governors woke to silence from the core. Admirals barked orders that never reached their fleets. Old grudges reignited. Long-buried rebellions flared. In the absence of order, the Empire fractured like glass. And at the heart of every rumor, every whispered story, was a single human ship. Some said it was a fleet in disguise. Others claimed it was sabotage from within. Imperial scholars argued for centuries, refusing to believe the truth, that a handful of humans had laughed in the face of inevitability and won. On the bridge of the Audacity, the laughter was real. Joe's exasperated curses, Mace's manic joy, Ava's bright giggles, all mingled into something raw, exhausted, but alive. Reyes allowed himself a rare smile. "Set course for resistance space. We'll need repairs. And duct tape. A lot of duct tape." May saluted lazily. "Captain, I'll steal an entire factory's worth if it keeps this tub flying." The ship groaned as if in agreement, its patched hull holding steady against the void. Together, they limped into the stars, not as survivors, but as the spark that would set the galaxy ablaze.